Yes, this is not a musical. Spoiler alert, not a musical.
But it could be. I would be here for the musical version of this.
Oh,
thank you so
thank
much.
All right, take care,
Always
guys.
a pleasure.
Take care. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. All right. Take care.
He's sweet. Really good interview.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Ladies, good to see you both. Seriously, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you.
Of course. Good to see
Absolutely.
you.
Good to see you.
Ariana, I want to start with you, and I want to talk about the physicality of moving around in the zero gravity, specifically because with your work in musicals like Hamilton and West Side Story, I felt like you had the chance to express characters through movement and motion. So I'm wondering if you do the same thing, even if it's not a musical. Like, what are some things that you learned about this character, or you were able to express maybe because of sort of the wire movement and like the zero gravity floating?
Yeah, well, I think my dance background was definitely helpful in this instance. Like, yes, this is not a musical. Spoiler alert, not a musical.
But it could be. I would be here for the musical version of this.
Well, someone else will be playing Dr. Kara Foster, I'll tell you that. But I do think, what I understand as a baseline for me as an actor is I understand body language. And so being able to use my dance background to figure out how to simulate zero gravity was very helpful. And then the other layer of that was understanding Dr. Kara Foster's body language. And this is the International Space Station, the ISS, where it is a small space. You are in zero gravity. These are crazy circumstances that happen to these humans. They are scientists, but they are humans. And the reactions that come out of them are still body language. Scientists don't always show everything on their face, but you might feel it in their body. So that was a really fun thing for me to be able to explore and play with.
I'm not going to focus on this, but I really do think that this could be a musical. I feel like it's there.
Would you like to direct the musical, Gabriella?
I am so locked and loaded for maybe not.
When you're in space, you're in space all the way. So this.
That I see what you did there. Okay.
Well, so this next question is for both of you, and it's very possible that the answer to this is no. But Ariana, your friend and collaborator Steven Spielberg, I always heard did something really interesting on Saving Private Ryan, where in order to create the division between all of the soldiers and Matt Damon, he sent all the soldiers to boot camp and training except Matt Damon, so that when they were together, there was a little bit of embedded resentment between the two of them. I'm sort of curious if there was anything that was done between the two sides, the two teams in this film, just to sort of create the division between the two.
I would say the opposite. And the reason why I would say that is because they weren't divided, right? So it's just really like what was more important was for you to see the symbiosis, and that like what you're doing over there, science-y thing over there is just absolutely going to affect my survival and what I'm working on over here. And so it was almost just treat them like a family.
Yeah.
And so sort of get to know each other, because again, that is what we've come to understand about the ISS is they are each other's family. That is just like when you're stuck that close in close confinement with folks, you become one and the same. You trust each other, you care about each other. So that was more important, I think, than sort of, I wanted the division to feel weird. Like that should be the outlier,
Well, and it made the stakes really playable, right? If the conceit is that we are a family, and then it's actually very hard to believe that I can't trust you and I don't trust you. So I actually feel very strongly like that was the best way for us to actually capture what we needed, was to create the family, because breaking apart was actually really hard.
Yeah,
that's what takes the movie from here to here, which I think is fantastic. I'm going to cut you guys loose on this. Ariana, obviously nothing can compare to World War III breaking out in the middle of the ISS, but I was wondering how actors deal with outside factors weighing on them when they're trying to do a job, trying to perfect a performance. Like, what is the strangest outside thing you've had to deal with while trying to stay focused on what it is you're supposed to be doing?
Well, I mean, in this case, I think a global pandemic was pretty big. But
I've heard of that.
Yeah, that
might have heard of it.
Might have heard of it. We were, I don't know, this thing called COVID. No, we made this movie during the pandemic, and so I can tell you just from my own experience and what I observed from my colleagues, like that weight was really large because we all had the added responsibility of protecting each other while we were making this movie. And we still didn't know as much about the illness. So it's like, do you have symptoms? Do you have COVID? You just sneezed. Like that's actually highly anxiety ridden. I have anxiety thinking about it.
That's right.
But that, or just, staying focused is tough. I mean, there was a time I was working and, found out my grandmother was really ill. It was very hard for me to focus. So I think, and there's one of the characters in the film, has a daughter, and John Gallagher Jr.'s character, and it's like, you think about war breaking out, and the first thing you're like, but my family, and you're like, oh, but I have to save the I.S.S.
Yeah.
and my family. Like,
Yep.
how do you choose? That's a question.
Right. How do you do it? How do you do it?
You guys saying that just added so much weight. There was that small moment when the explosion started going off, and I think it may have been John who said, like, did you see if there was an explosion near California? And that, and my heart just went like, because my mind would be going to like my family in Chicago, my family in everyone's looking to. So you guys perfectly captured that. So well done with that. I've got 1,000 more questions I wish I could ask you, including about the ending. But seriously, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate. I know I could go all day, but that's a sign that you guys did something special. So congratulations.
Oh,
thank you so much.
All right, take care,
Always
guys.
a pleasure.
Take care. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. All right. Take care.
He's sweet. Really good interview.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.